Hi, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Business. This is a show in which we get to talk about business, talk about tips, tricks, and tools that we can use to, nurture our businesses, grow them, and make them big and giant and fabulous. I am Amma Duncan. I'm a corporate trainer, business coach, and founder of the Fabulous Woman Network. And of course, the hostess of Mind Your Business. Today, I get to interview a really fabulous woman. My goodness, her bio is so impressive. Wait, I'm going to read it off my phone as usual. Lorraine Wright, a British-born Ghanaian, is a multifaceted businesswoman with a decade of corporate and entrepreneurial experience. Lorraine is a University of Oxford Executive MBA graduate and a director at UBS, a Swiss global financial services firm, where she currently oversees the digital platforms managing UBS's social impact and community affairs efforts. Her last 10 years have been spent in financial services, leading a number of digital initiatives with multi-million CHF budgets, including 3+ years working in Zurich, Switzerland. Now, that's another place I need to go. Mental notes. Back to Lorraine's profile. Lorraine is an experienced project and program manager with proven track record of leading large cross-divisional, geographically dispersed and complex change programs. Alongside her day job, Lorraine is committed to impacting and transforming lives through her multiple businesses across the UK and Ghana. In the UK, Lorraine is the founder of University Gospel Choir of the Year. How cool is that? Huh? This is an annual competition for university choirs across the UK, UV Talent, a music talent agency supplying talent to shows like X Factor, BGT, British Got Talent, yeah, that's the one, and The Voice, and Boxstar, a music competition app. In Ghana, Lorraine is the owner of Lionel Nails. Probably need to go there actually. Lorraine is the owner of Lionel Nails Beauty Spa and head of sales for the fast-growing agri-tech startup Grow For Me, which seeks to address food security and accessibility issues in Ghana and more broadly Africa by enabling the diaspora to sponsor farms for financial returns. Now, I am a daughter of a farmer. Well, my dad is passed on now, but to hear anything about farming, excites me. I grew up on a farm. At a point, my home was called Animal Farm. So yeah, this is really exciting for me to have this opportunity to talk to this fabulous woman. Ooh, I haven't finished. Lorraine has won several awards, including 2018 Power List as a Rising Star and GUBA, GUBA, Ghanaian UK-based Achievement Award Community Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Lorraine, it's really such a privilege for me to have this opportunity to talk to you this evening. Thank you so much for making time to join us for this conversation on Mind Your Business. Now, I remember reading your profile and thinking, oh my goodness, you're amazing. You're doing amazing things all around the world, Zurich, UK, Ghana, and all these places. First of all, even before we dig into the interview, how does it feel like to be this young, Ghanaian? You are British Ghanaian, so basically you have Ghanaian descent and you are walking around the world, going into offices with all these big men, and you're one of the big people there. How does it feel like?
Firstly, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation. I'm just looking forward to what we can unpack within this conversation. And hopefully, if there is just one person out there that hears the story, then I'll be more than happy, because that is what I believe I'm here for on this earth, just really to inspire other people. So to your question, how does it feel? I don't think I've actually sat down and thought about it like that. us as women, we're just kind of go-getters. So we just keep going and going and going. So go sit back and say, oh, how does it feel? I just know I do all things by the grace of God. And I just feel like, every step I take is a stepping stone into the next thing I would like to achieve in my life. So I don't think I've ever sat down, sadly, in order to answer your question and think, oh, how does that feel? I'm just humbled by opportunity. I'm humbled that I've been given certain privileges as well. So a lot of it is humbling, and I don't take any opportunity I have for granted. So I think probably if I was, I guess that's probably how I feel. Yeah.
Mm. So, Lorraine, you are involved in so many different things in different countries. Have you always been this multi-passionate, even as a child? Tell us about your childhood.
Wow. So I grew up in a Ghanaian household, a single parent household. So my mother had moved from Ghana to the UK and married my dad. They separated when I was quite young, probably around the age of 9 or so. I'm the eldest of 3 children. And, my mum, she's one of the strongest women I know. And her bringing up her children, she always instilled in us the ethos of working. And for me, especially with education, she really was, very, very the kind of woman that would expect that if you're not studying, you are doing something around the household. Uh-huh. So every Saturday morning, I would have my chore. My chore was to go and clean the bathroom and the toilet every Saturday morning. And because I hated it, the moment I hit 16, I found myself a part-time job. And I did that because it's either study or work. And if you don't, you can't just get up in the morning and do nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to be out of the house and go and work. And I remember when I turned 16, she dragged me down Clapham High Street in South London with my CV. And we're looking for jobs. And, luckily I managed to find myself, she spoke on my behalf at a kind of like it's called Mother Care, like a mummies and babies retail store. And I managed to come in there as a 16-year-old and become, work as a sales assistant. Mm-hmm. So my working life has started very early because the moment I hit 16, I started working. And ever since then, I think because of the fear of being at home and cleaning toilets and bathrooms, I just keep working and working and working. Nice. So I got promoted to supervisor, very, very quickly, then started taking on new jobs and was working while studying at university when I moved on to university. And that's where I learned the ability to multitask, studying and also working, doing very well working and doing very well studying. So I could study and get straight A's, and I could work and hit targets. So I started to learn very early on, and I was always kind of doing something because I didn't want to, I had the fear of sitting and doing nothing in the back of my mind. So I think that's where that started from, So you can't be in an African household, sit down and do nothing, you know what I mean? So I remember seeing a meme the other day, and there was someone just sitting there like this, and their African mum was just looking at them, and they're like, you can't be somewhere just sitting there doing nothing,
I know. I used to have that feeling too. I used to think that my mom just didn't like to see us sitting not doing anything. She would always give us something to do. I was like,
something to do. No rest. You go to school the whole week. Why can't I just rest on Saturday?
And the funny thing, so I have kids now. I have a 12 and a 10-year-old, and I have a feeling I do the same thing to them. I don't like to see them idle. I'm always giving them stuff to do.
But I think we realize in hindsight that there was a reason for it. And that helps us in a future life, I think, because you yourself, when you're sitting there being idle, you're like, wow, I can actually use this time to some kind of benefit rather than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Idle hands, there's a lot of saying about idle hands. So let's not be idle.
Exactly. I totally agree. And I am unashamedly confessing that I do that.
You mean so they're sitting around doing nothing and you go and tell them to do this?
Oh my goodness. So anyway, I think it's really impressive. I think for me, the most impressive thing I found on your profile is the fact that you founded a gospel choir. I'm like, what? First of all, I love gospel, especially the whole choir thing. And then you founded a gospel choir competition. Please tell us about that.
That is what I believe is my number one purpose in life. I absolutely love gospel choirs. I love gospel music. I remember, and I've been in choirs since I'm not the best singer. I don't believe I've been gifted with a voice, but I love to worship in my own voice and sing. I've been part of a gospel choir when I was in primary school, so the first level of school. I was in a choir when I went to secondary school. I wasn't in a choir. I was in college, but I was in a choir when I was in university. And what I noticed through all of those experiences is that when you're in your choir, you're only singing in that environment. But I felt like gospel music is has such a powerful message that it should be beyond the walls of where you are singing. So there was a time when I was at university, it was my final year, and I believe that I was watching my favorite movie, and I don't know if you know this movie, but Sister Act 2.
Who doesn't know it? Yeah. Oh,
nowadays the younger generation don't know about Sister Act 2, so you always have to kind of ask. So I was watching that movie, and it's my favorite movie of all time, and then God just laid it on my heart that he wants to see something similar to where choirs have the opportunity to go on a national scale, compete against each other. So that was the moment where I was like, you need to start up a gospel choir competition, particularly for universities, because universities it's a very difficult time for people that go to university, first time away from parents. There's so much that could happen. But if you've got this bond or this unity of a gospel community, maybe centered on faith, not only centered on faith, but also centered on some kind of community spirit or a unified bond to achieve a goal, right? Because I found that even through our gospel choirs, not all of them are Christians. Some of them could be atheists. Some of them could be Muslims, but they all have this central, and they're still singing about Christ, but there is some kind of underlying bond that has made it so beautiful in the 10 years that I've been running this.
10 years.
And it's just 2020 was meant to be the 10th year, but of course COVID happened. So yeah, long story short, but the message of the gospel on university campuses and getting that out. So for 10 years, we've been running this competition in universities in the UK, and we also have run it twice in Ghana as well.
Oh, in Ghana already with KNUST and Tech and
we had 20. I think the first time round, University of Education. They won the first year. The second year, Central University won, and all of them apply. So Legon will send like 5 choirs. UDS. Then you've got UPSA. You've got Wisconsin. You've got Tech. You've got all of them. They all send their choirs down, and we had it at the National Theatre, and it was incredible. It was amazing. So
I'm getting goosebumps just imagining it. When is the next one?
We're planning it for, God willing, the end of this year. I think COVID has really impacted things because, with choirs, you have to be together, right? Yeah. And that impacted us last year in the UK because the university students were all working remotely. They were all at home. And in Ghana, there's obviously double track happening as well at the moment. So it's difficult that choirs are actually together rehearsing. So God willing, we're planning that if I can get the resources and the finances and everything together, then God willing, by the end of the year, we'll do the one in Ghana. And then next year, we'll be back with the UK again.
And God will make it happen. He's already made the way. Just do it. Do you have it on YouTube? Perhaps if there is something.
Yeah, anyone can.
So you can share the link with us. I'll totally share it with everyone because I love music. Oh, I love.
I'm glad you do. I'm so glad you do.
Seriously, when I saw it, I was so excited. I was like so impressed to see this. Like it just blew me away, made me so excited, waiting to talk to you. So now let's talk about, like, you're involved in the choir, you are involved in Grow For Me, which we'll get to talk about soon. And then you own a nail salon and you're doing all these things in the digital space and all that. I don't know how many hours you have in your day, but tell us, please, what's the tip or trick that you can show us to help us manage? Because you are also managing staff across different continents. Can you teach us something to help us in, managing our own different businesses here and there? Please.
Sure. So if you remember what I said about my childhood, it was in the back of my mind that when you are idle, there's something wrong, right? So I've always tried to maximize as much of my spare time as possible. So I do have a full-time job. So I actually work for an investment bank in London. Okay. And but that job is 9 to 5. So what are you doing 5 to 9 in the morning? What are you doing 5 to 9 in the evening, right? That combined together is a whole nother day. You've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 4 hours. So your 4 hours either side of your working day together is another 8 hours in a day. That's a whole nother job that you potentially could do. And that's how I break down my days to say, okay, nowadays I struggle waking up in the morning, but late at night I can do more, So I feel like my tip really is, okay, how are you maximizing the spare time you have available to you? Right. And if we go back and remember when our parents would slap us on the wrist because you were idle, I'm getting a virtual slap somehow because I'm like idle. So I'm like, how can I use that? And then secondly, in terms of making sure that it actually works, I think it's all about systems. It's having systems in place. Yeah. And one thing that I've always remembered, and I know we'll get to the book question and talking more about some of that later on. But one thing that I've always remembered is build a company to work without you. So when you are doing something, don't let it rely on you. So put systems in place. That means when you're not there, it will still run. That's the only way we'll be able to. So that moves you from running a business to running a company. Because I see the business, in some respects, is very much reliant on you being there. So what happens if one day you're sick? What happens when you have children? What happens when your husband needs you? What happens when there's some kind of conflict somewhere? That business is not going to run. But if you establish a company and have a company mindset so that it can run without you, so you've got systems in place, it means that you've got the opportunity to run and handle multiple different things. Now, I'm not going to profess that I'm there yet by any means, but that is my goal. My goal with everything I do is say, what system can I put in place to make sure that the business or the company is not relying on me? And that's what I try and think about.
That's really fantastic. And thank you for sharing that. Systems, automation systems. Yes, totally. Now, I know you're also involved in Grow For Me. I have read about you a bit. I have seen a few of the videos and testimonials you have on your YouTube channel. First of all, tell us how you got involved in Grow For Me, then about the company itself.
Grow For Me, I must say, is a fantastic, fantastic company. For me, I've been looking at, and look, we've been talking about systems, we've been talking about automation, we've been talking about doing things that don't rely on you. So I've also been thinking about where can I put my disposable income without having to do any work, right? Well, how can I get involved in something that's booming, which is agriculture right now, without having to get my hands dirty?
Exactly.
Right? And that is what's been in my mind. And there happens to be an opportunity, so maybe I'll take it back a step. But I studied my executive MBA at the University of Oxford. And one of the co-founders of Grow For Me at the time was looking at also doing his executive MBA at Oxford. So he reached out to me and said, look, want to have a conversation? We got talking. I was telling him a lot about the program and, how excited it was. But I also said to him, I'm also looking for ways and means to get involved in the Ghanaian agriculture landscape. And he said, I'm starting up this company, get involved. So for me, it was a no-brainer, absolutely no-brainer. I was like, this is a fantastic opportunity for people like me who, might be in the diaspora, who have several things on the go, want to find ways and means to invest or make an impact, or simply just get involved in what's happening on the ground in Ghana. but don't either quite know how or don't want to get their hands dirty, Grow For Me is a perfect opportunity.
I see. That's really fantastic. So tell me more. Now you've just whet my appetite now, and I'm sure if anybody is watching, they're like, yeah, how do I become a part? What qualification do I need to like get an MBA from?
No qualifications. No qualifications. All you need to do is literally have at least 200 cities available, right? 200. Approximately 200 cities. That's all you need to have. £25, $35. That's all you need to have. What Grow For Me do, and what's so exciting about Grow For Me, is really what we are doing is enabling anyone from wherever you are in the world. You can be in the UK, you can be in Dubai, you can be in USA, you can be in Australia, Germany, Amsterdam, wherever you are, from the comfort of your own living room, become a farmer. You can farm without getting any of these hands dirty. Yeah. We do the work for you, right? So Grow For Me, essentially, think about it as an Uber, right? When you're taking an Uber or a Bolt, you get into a car that's not yours. There is a Bolt platform or Uber platform connecting you who wants to get to one location to another location with a driver who has a car. Yeah. We are basically the Uber of agriculture. We are connecting you with farmers who have farms, with someone like you who might just want to invest to grow your money or make an impact. We are connecting you both. So you bring the money and the finances, Grow For Me will grow on your behalf together with the farmers. And what we will do is we will manage that farming activity so that once it's grown and reached harvest, we can then sell those items and essentially return the profits and proceeds back to you. So you're at home in Australia, in your living room, you've given 200 cities or more because, you could invest as much as you want. Yeah. And you can, in 7 months' time, receive a return on your sponsorship up to 30%, So it's amazing vehicle, and I'm using that as a pun because we're kind of very similar to Uber, but it's an amazing opportunity for you to get somewhere without even having to do all the groundwork. Farming and agriculture is extraordinarily difficult if you don't know how to do it yourself. Exactly. So we are doing that for you. And with Grow For Me, I think the pandemic has really taught us that food will always be in demand. If you know, across the world, when they announced lockdowns, where did everyone go? They ran to the shop. Yes. They ran to the shop to go and buy food and stock up. And it showed us that there was more of a demand on the early part of the value chain when it comes to farming, because it meant that they had to produce more to feed this global demand. Yeah. And what we found, especially in Ghana, is that the GDP in Ghana, although it shrunk like most economies did, agriculture started to take up a larger chunk of the Ghanaian GDP, which means there's a lot more eyes going on agriculture. People are looking to that area because of this increase in demand we are seeing globally.
I think that is a brilliant idea. We eat every day. Like I've eaten today. I have had my bowls of kenke in the fridge that I'm saving for and everything. But we never think about where it's coming from. And oh my God, do we have enough? Are the farmers producing enough? And so this is a way for all of us eaters, to ensure that there is always going to be constant supply of food. And Ghana has, our land is so rich, and the sort of crops it produces is just, So I think this is such a brilliant idea. How long have you been running this project?
So the company has been running for approximately 3 years now. But in terms of the public, the public getting involved, that was beginning of 2020. And since then, we've had 700 plus sponsors. We've worked with 200 plus farmers. Sponsors have raised more than $100,000. There is a lot out there. It's really, we are fast growing right now.
I feel like I'm missing out. This is not good. I need to.
You are.
Like I'm missing out. how am I missing out? No, I mean, you're going to have to tell us how to get involved in this, because we are always talking about passive income here, and this is it.
Absolutely.
Is it. Sitting in your room, or maybe sipping on some mojito somewhere on the beach, and then somebody somewhere is working with your money, right? And then making money for you. And I think that the impact you're making is beautiful. My dad was a farmer. He's passed on now. And I think he would have appreciated something like this, you know, young, vibrant Ghanaians. And that is even the best part, that you're young, vibrant Ghanaians, a group, you know, making this happen. What's the name of what are the names of the founders?
So Nana is the CEO of the company. He's a serial entrepreneur, fantastic CEO. I mean, sometimes I sit back and think to myself, wow, how does someone like do it? The other co-founder is Francis. He is the head of the farming unit as well. So they both met at university, both studying agriculture as well. And the other co-founder, Kwame, another co-founder, Godfred. And these guys, like you said, Ghana has rich land. They were actually trying to fundraise for an initiative, and they actually cycled to Nigeria from Ghana. And it was on their route of cycling that they noticed the vast virgin land that there was in Ghana. And they thought to themselves, with all of this land here, we're not producing enough, right? And the issue exists that by 2050, the African population is going to be 2.5 billion people. Today is 1.2 billion, but we can't even feed that 1.2 billion individuals. Yeah. Why? Because there's not enough investment going into the agriculture space for people to utilize this land that's going unused. If we can use that rich land, look, we'll be able to feed all the mouths that we're going to see by 2050. So we need the investment, and people can get involved, as I said, from as little as $35 to £5 or 200 cedis, and they can invest in a unit of rice or maize or soybean or pineapple. And, you know, and that's simply how it started. Nana and Francis, Kwame and Godfred, they're absolutely amazing, you know.
Bless them. Bless them. It's really nice to see Ghanaians making things happen. It's really heartwarming. So bless you all, you and your team. So at the end of this interview, we're going to ask you to show us how to be a part of, because you have my money already. It's on its way coming to you. And then I really hope we have more people signing up, especially when they see this interview as well. For now, I'm going to ask you what I call fill in the blank questions. And so I'm going to say a part of the sentence and you have to finish it with a short phrase. Okay. So the first one is, if I could advise my younger self in one short sentence, I would say,
just get started now. Don't wait for everything to be all ready. Just do it.
Just do it. I love it. Like Nike, just do it. Okay, so the second one, I am fabulous because
I can do so many different things at once.
No, you must have some superpower, and I think that you should like create a course or something on how to multitask, because for me, I have decided that, you know what, I can just do one at a time, because if I attempt even two, I'm like all over the place, you know. But I think that there are people like you who are really skilled at, you know, being able to manage different things at the same time. Respect. The final question is, one book that has greatly helped me in business is?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love that book by Robert Kiyosaki.
No way! I'm getting goosebumps. So that is the book that started me off doing things like what I'm doing now.
Oh, wow.
I have a whole, I actually wrote my book and I put it in there, how I started this whole thing, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What has been a game changer for me. So thank you. Yes, that book is amazing. Okay, so this is where we get to hear how we can all be part of Grow For Me.
So everyone can see the link that's been posted underneath this video. I urge every single person to visit that link. Yeah. Once you visit that link, you'll see how you'll be able to sign up. You'll see the various crops that are available. So currently we have rice, maize, soybean, and pineapple available on the website. you will get to see how much it costs to purchase a unit. Now, to put it into perspective, 1 unit is the equivalent of 1/8 of an acre. So if you wanted to sponsor 1 acre, you will purchase 8 units. If you wanted to sponsor 10 acres, you'll sponsor 80 units. Or if you just wanted to sponsor 1 unit, which is 1/8 of an acre, then you just sponsor 1 unit. So the price that is listed there is the price for 1 unit. Now you'll sponsor that, and it will show you, or on that crop, the tile where when you visit the website, it will show you the potential return on sponsorship. It will give you a range. And that range is because I want to be very clear, like any investment, we cannot guarantee what your return will be. I want to be very clear and transparent about that. When you buy a house, you don't know how much you're going to sell it for. When you invest in stocks and shares, you don't know if you're going to make money. This is like that. I want to be very clear. But what we do is we have a range, and that range is pretty much based on the standards when it comes to agriculture, mainly based on 2 variables. Number 1, what your yield would be. So that is, how much will that crop weigh once it's grown per kilo? Then it'll also show you how much the price would be. So those 2 variables married together will determine what the return on your sponsorship would be. Now, when you visit the website, you will see the farming end date. If that crop has a return at the end of, so once we've grown and at the end of that cycle, we then sold it and traded it, and there was a profit, that profit will come back to you plus your principal within 2 months of that end date that you see on the website. Okay. So once you've seen that on the website, it will show you the farming locations where the crops are. It will show you, so the region. So you're able to sponsor that. And once you've sponsored and the farming has started, you can log on and you get to see how your farm is progressing at each stage of the process. And as I said, at the end of the process, at the end of harvesting, within 2 months of the end date, you receive 50% of the profits. The farmer will receive 35% of the profits, and GrowForMe will receive 15%. So it's a profit sharing model where everyone wins. We all have skin in the game. So that's how it essentially works. And finally, to be clear, what we do is we operate as a crowd farming platform. So when you sponsor, not that you're necessarily purchasing a particular farm in a particular location. What we do is we're pulling together those funding or the finances and dispersing it across multiple different farms. Why do we do that? That's because we want to mitigate as much risks as possible. If you sponsor one farm, there's a lot of risk concerning one farm. So we work with a number of different farmers across multiple different areas in the region. I remember when I had the opportunity to go and visit Tamale, I spent the whole day going from farm to farm to farm with all the farms we work with. And we do that because we want to mitigate risk to make sure we generate as much profits and returns for our sponsors. That's essentially how it works. You bring your money, the farmers will grow on your behalf. We supervise the growth. We then help with the trading activities. We are regulated by the Security and Exchange Commission. We are a registered broker on the Ghana Commodity Exchange as well. So anyone can go to the GCX website. That's Ghana Commodity Exchange website. You can check the membership and brokers, and you can see GrowForMe listed there. For everyone that also refers and recommends someone else on board, you can also get 5 cities. Or if you'd like to become a partner, there are opportunities with that as well. So that's GrowForMe. So I encourage everyone to visit the link that's posted under the video. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to Amma, you can reach out to myself, which is Lorraine at growforme.com. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions as well.
That's fantastic, fantastic. I'm just sitting here praying, God, please let this business do well. Let it be. Because you're young Ghanaians, I think that is like number one. And then number 2, you're in agriculture. Like that is such an asset for us in Ghana here. So I really, really wish you the very best, Lorraine. Thank you so much for making time. I have enjoyed this interview. Oh my goodness. And I look forward to an opportunity to come visit the farms and, you know, take selfies with the maize and stuff.
Please do. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And also personally, where do we find you on social media if people are interested in looking for you?
For me personally, I'm available on Instagram, Lorraine H. Wright. My website is lorrainewright.co.uk. My YouTube is youtube.com/C/Lorraine Wright. I'm basically Lorraine Wright across all platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, just search Lorraine Wright.
Yeah, speaking of YouTube, what do you do on YouTube, on your personal channel?
I speak about side hustles and side hustling. So yeah, it's a very new channel.
Where have you been? I just love chatting with women like you. You don't know how much energy and fire you give me, you know. So thank you. I am so grateful, and I'm going to encourage as many of the women who follow what we do to check out Grow For Me, check you out as well, take some inspiration and do the best that we can. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. My goodness, I was getting goosebumps as I spoke with this fabulous woman. I mean, first of all, she's doing amazing. I love her confidence, her ideas, and I mean, obviously, she's Ghanaian. I mean, yeah, so let me brag about her, right? But she was so cool. And I think that what she's doing with Grow For Me is really great. Ladies and gentlemen, especially if you're Ghanaian, this is our own. Let's support it. Let's grow more food. You know, we eat a lot. It will be nice to know that we are actually investing in the food we are eating, you know, in the farms that are producing these foods. So please check on them, click on the link, and then go check it out and be a part of this amazing, amazing idea. Kudos to these young Ghanaians who started Grow For Me. And of course, check Lorraine out as well. Let's get some tips, some more tips from her own YouTube channel, where we can also, you know, access what she's doing and then benefit from it. I do hope you've learned something. I have learned my own stuff from this, apart from the fact that I'm going to check Grow For Me out and then subscribe to it, because I think this is really an amazing investment opportunity. Passive income, here I come. So please, in the comments, let me know if this has been of value to you. What has been your biggest takeaway from watching this video? And of course, please do share this video as well. Let more people get to know this amazing young lady and what she's doing to help our country, and of course, Africa and the world at large. Until I come your way again, God willing, next week, same time on Tuesday on this YouTube channel, The Fabulous Woman Network. Please, 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 God loves you. You're blessed. Bye.